Hola amigos, ¿qué tal? Stuart here from Spain Speaks with a Spain news update. And according to experts, the new pipeline between Spain and France is unlikely to solve Europe's energy problems in the short term, but more about that in just a moment. Firstly, a big thanks to all of the people that left comments on the last video. Lots of comments, lots of debate happening there as usual. Thanks to people that supported the channel through a donation or by buying me a beer or a coffee or through the new super thanks option. Many thanks for that. And thanks to my patrons on Patreon for your continuing support. Now, let's get into the news. And as I said, experts are now doubting whether or not this new pipeline between Barcelona and Marseille, which the Spanish and French governments announced a couple of weeks ago, will solve Europe's energy problems in the short term. An underwater pipeline connecting the ports of Barcelona and Marseille is unlikely to help ease Europe's energy crisis in the short term, analysts said, with Spain and France both agreeing that it may not be up and running until 2030. The joint project between Spain, Portugal and France, agreed last month and dubbed Bar-Mar, replaced Midcat, the gas pipeline which was planned across the Pyrenees from Spain into France. Despite Spanish claims Midcat might be ready by 2023, it was vetoed by France because of political opposition to ecological damage caused by the proposed pipeline through the southwest of the country. Bar-Mar will be mainly used to pump green hydrogen and other renewable gases into the European grid. Green hydrogen is produced by passing an electric current through water to split it between hydrogen and oxygen in a process called electrolysis. So, according to experts, the Bar-Mar project unlikely to solve Europe's energy issues in the short term and most likely won't be ready until 2030, some 8 years down the track. So another example, it seems, of European politicians kicking the proverbial can down the street. Now, as we know, the Spanish government admitted last week that it's having trouble spending European recovery funds, and according to this article, the Spanish government has asked the Big Four accounting firms to help avoid losing European funds to bureaucratic logjams. The government admits that it will not be able to meet the administrative requirements demanded by Brussels to retain European funds in due time and form if the current bureaucratic logjam continues. For this reason, it has decided, out of urgent and unpostponable necessity, to resort to large consultancy firms to try to reach the required milestones in time and thus avoid the loss of EU aid, with which the government hopes to boost part of the economy in the coming years. This is acknowledged in an official document from the Ministry for Ecological Transition, the department in charge of managing billions of subsidies from Europe, given that it is entrusted with the strategic task of channeling the funds dedicated to the transition to a green and decarbonised economy. Firms such as Deloitte, Ernst & Young and PricewaterhouseCoopers are among the candidates to take on this task, which includes consultancy services and transversal services. So there we go. Seems fairly clear that managing these European funds is just too big a task for the Spanish government, and they need to call in the big accounting firms. And as we also know, the fees that these accounting firms charge for their services are not cheap. Now, the current month, November, is being dubbed the month of protests here in Spain. Everybody seems to be taking to the streets this month for one reason or another. And so serious are the problems here in Spain that bars have decided to join the protests. As we can read here, bars in Seville to strike in protest at rising costs. The hotel and catering industry in Seville is facing a very delicate moment. Premises have gone on to double and triple their utility bills. I have gone from paying 25% more for the same premises and the same size from 3,500 euros to 5,000 euros. This has meant that we have had to increase our prices a little. In addition, we have had to eliminate others from the menu because of the extra cost, says Curro Acevedo, owner of a restaurant in Tomares, Seville. A situation that has put hoteliers between the ropes who have to decide between raising prices with the risk of losing customers or keeping them and working at a loss, something that entrepreneurs such as Manuel Rodriguez, who has been running his bar for a month and who has decided to hold on to prices until the beginning of the year, recognizes. But if I have to raise them before Christmas, I will. What I don't want is to have to close, he tells us while serving a coffee. So bars and restaurants, not only in Seville but in other cities here in Spain, deciding to protest at rising costs. And let's be honest, you know things are bad when bars in this country go on strike. Now, radical climate activism hit Spain at the weekend, with protesters causing a scene in one of Spain's most important museums, the Prado in Madrid. And as we can read here, the activists in question glued their hands to Goya paintings. Two climate activists glued themselves to the frames of two paintings by Francisco Goya at the Prado Museum in Madrid, Spanish police said. The protest did not damage either painting. The two paintings were La Maja Vestida and La Maja Desnuda. The protesters drew plus 1.5 degrees Celsius on the wall between the two paintings, referring to the 1.5 degrees Celsius or 2.7 degree Fahrenheit warming cap established by the 2015 Paris Agreement. Spanish police said they detained the two activists. The group Futuro Vegetal, Plant Future, claimed responsibility for the protest and posted a video of the two activists on Twitter. So climate protesters here in Spain joining other protesters around the world and gluing themselves to important works of art. But luckily, as we saw, the two Goya paintings weren't damaged in the protest. Now, if you've got a spare 240,000 euros in the bank and you would like to get your hands on an entire Spanish village, you're in luck, because there's an empty village in Zamora for sale for that exact amount, 240,000 euros. The real estate market sometimes surprises when looking for a property to buy, especially thanks to the depopulation that is experienced in communities such as Castilla y León. Advertisements for the purchase of homes range from rooms to entire villages. This is the case of a village located in Zamora called Salto de Castro in the municipality of Fonfria. The village can be bought for 240,000 euros. It has 44 dwellings, 5 of which are independent. In addition, it also has other facilities such as a bar, a church, or even a school, an inn with a laundry, and a dining room. And here's a picture of the village in question. And it looks as though you'll have to spend a fair bit of money to restore the buildings in that abandoned village. Now let's have a look at some of the comments from previous videos. One here from Lou: good luck to the unions fighting for those 30 poor souls. Elon Musk is used to firing people as if it were a bodily function. He's more stingy than Ebenezer Scrooge. Yeah, Lou, thanks for the comment, and this is related to an article that we saw in yesterday's live stream about how Twitter workers here in Spain, the 30 workers that Twitter has on its books in this country, received an email the other day from Elon Musk telling them that they were fired. And as a result, the Spanish unions have said that they are going to stand up for these 30 workers and make sure that Mr. Musk follows the official rules and regulations when it comes to firing people in this country. Anyone who's tried to fire a worker in this country knows how difficult it can be, and no doubt Mr. Musk is unaware of the procedures when it comes to firing people here in Spain. So we'll see who wins this fight, the unions or Elon Musk. One here from Debbie: the government saying it will take note and study the report is code for putting it in file 13, the trash can. Yeah, Debbie, thanks for the comment, and referring to an article that we saw last week about how the European Central Bank has warned the Spanish government that a new tax that it has on banks might be detrimental to the sector here in Spain as a whole. It might also limit credit, and they recommended passing the tax on to customers. Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez replied to the European Central Bank and said, thanks for the advice, but we're going to go ahead with the tax anyway. Because here in Spain, we know what we're doing, and you guys at the European Central Bank have got no idea. We'll be happy to take your money if you need to bail out the Spanish banking sector again, like you did 12 years ago, but please, keep your opinions to yourself. One here from Sandra: Spain is missing out on all those taxes they could be collecting from the sale of marijuana. People that choose to imbibe are going to, legal or not. Yes, Sandra, thanks for the comment, and you're right. People are going to consume substances like marijuana whether it's legal or not. So the government has an important decision to make. It can legalize it, collect the taxes, pay back some of the enormous debt that this country has, pump some of the money into essential services, which is also necessary, or they could keep it illegal, all of the profits go into the black market, and a lot of criminals get even richer. So the current Spanish government, progressive when it comes to some things, for example gender issues, but not when it comes to legalizing cannabis. One here from Bill B: hi Stu, I think one of the main reasons for the popularity of shopping malls is the ease of parking. There are more and more restrictions in town centres and local areas that it is easier to access the shopping malls. Yeah, Bill, thanks for the comment, and thanks for adding to the debate on why shopping centres are so popular here in Spain. We had somebody the other day mention that air conditioning was one of the reasons. On a hot day, people can save energy at home and go to the local shopping centre to stay cool. And the parking aspect that you mentioned in your comment could be another reason, because it's a lot easier to park in a shopping centre here in Spain than it is on the average high street, and cheaper too. One here from Jose Antonio: we Spaniards paid 64 billion euros from our taxes to rescue the banks after the 2008 crisis, and now they are making money like never before. Nowadays, those who cover their faces with the scarf are the ones on the other side of the counter at the bank. Yeah, Jose Antonio, thanks for the comment, and thanks for reminding me about all of those billions of euros that were spent in this country to keep the banking system afloat. One bank in particular, Caja Madrid, received billions and billions of taxpayer money to keep it afloat. It changed its name to Bankia there for a while, and now it has been absorbed by CaixaBank. And has anybody even mentioned those banks paying back that money? I don't know, but I haven't heard anything about it. But remember, when it comes to banking in this country, the Spanish government knows what's best. One here from Rick: I returned home to Montreal from Malaga yesterday, and your discussion of the Spanish economic issues here caught my eye. One easy way to add to the coffers would be to raise the tax on alcoholic beverages. I saw red wine on supermarket shelves for as low as €1.30 a bottle. My eyes nearly popped out of my head. Here you would be lucky indeed to find a bottle of Plonk for less than €7, and a mid-range price would be about €10. Let drinkers pay more realistic prices and leave non-drinkers alone, I suggest. Alcohol is a non-essential product after all. Producers would scream, but how successful can some of them be, almost giving the product away? By the way, you can tick a non-binary box here and nobody's died yet. Keep up your great work. Yeah, Rick, thanks for the comment, and you're right, the price of alcohol here in Spain can be very cheap, especially at supermarkets. You can pick up a cheap bottle of wine for under €1.50, a can of beer for around 35 cents, you can get a bottle of whiskey for around 7 or 8 euros, and a bottle of cheap gin around the same price, 7, 8, 9 euros. But I don't think any political party is talking about increasing the price of alcohol, because I imagine it would be political suicide, because your average Spaniard wants cheap booze and cheap smokes. And if the price of those products were to go up to Canadian or Australian prices, I reckon there'd be a revolution. And finally, one here from Stephen: don't the Spanish still have a 4-hour siesta in the afternoon? No wonder they can't sleep at night. LOL. Yes, Stephen, thanks for the comment, and yes, the siesta is still part of Spanish culture, in some parts of the country at least, maybe not in the big cities anymore, for example here in Madrid or Barcelona. I don't think many people have a siesta during the week. At weekends it might be a different story, but not 4 hours. I don't think anybody has a 4-hour siesta, maybe 30 minutes, maybe 1 hour, maybe 20 minutes. I've got no idea, but yes, the siesta still exists. And is it part of the reason why people here have trouble sleeping at night? I don't know, but it could be one of the factors. On that note, I'll wrap the video up. Questions and comments, please leave them in the section below. Debate the video out as you normally do. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs down if you didn't. I'll see you in the next one. Hasta luego.